Japanese soldiers are learning how to deploy a U.S. missile defense system. Japan has been increasing its defense spending in recent years as risks to the country's security rapidly increase. North Korea's continued weapons tests, as well as Russia's and China's heightened military presence in the region, are worrying Japanese officials. But it's China's hostile actions around Taiwan that are the main cause of concern for Japan, which fears a possible direct conflict with Beijing.
So Taiwan is an important country for Japan's security. For example, the Japanese leaders have been repeatedly stressing that the Taiwan Strait crisis is closely linked to the security of Japan. For example, late Prime Minister Shinzo Abe stated that contingency concerning Taiwan would be also an emergency for Japan.
At its closest point, Taiwan is just 160 kilometers away from Japan's outlying islands. That makes Japan all the more important in a potential Taiwan-China conflict. In a recent war game led by the US-based Center for Strategic and International Studies, participants found that Taiwan would be able to fend off a Chinese invasion, but only with the US using its bases in Japan.
And the reason is that this is the only way that U.S. fighter attack aircraft can get into the fight. They have to be stationed in Okinawa, for example, or in southern Japan because of their range. If the United States can't use its bases in Japan, then it has to base those aircraft maybe on Guam, which is really too far for their range.
While the U.S. has the world's strongest military, many analysts agree it would be difficult to secure the air and seas around Taiwan once a conflict began. In the majority of the war game scenarios, the U.S. lost 2 of its advanced aircraft carriers and hundreds of aircraft to control the skies above Taiwan. The games assumed the U.S. would participate in a Taiwan-China conflict, but whether Japan will get involved is less clear. Analysts say it may be a case of self-defense.
Now, during the gameplay, what came out was that in 19 of the 25 game iterations, the Chinese did attack these military bases, and the Japanese did come into the war. And I think one of the things that made it so striking was the notion that Japanese involvement would not be a decision that the Japanese would be allowed to make, but it would be determined by the Chinese in the United States.
To deter such an attack, Japan is making sure it's ready to fight by improving its ability to fire on and disable weapons in enemy territory. This includes purchasing more than 400 Tomahawk missiles from the U.S. These can strike targets on land and warships sailing near its borders.
So I think there's this sense of concern as China grows its military capabilities, that Japan can't just sit idle and wait for Taiwan to get taken by China.
By building up its defense, Japan hopes to help prevent a regional conflict from starting in the first place. Howard Zhang and Jaime Ocon for TaiwanPlus.